Small town. Damn, that's you strictly.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Browns owner says they swung and missed in the nice luxury of a baseball metaphor. Baseball's back. KD is out for a week with about a week remaining in the season, and we are back to give you the real in sports. I'm your co-host, Small Town EP, joined by Wade Julian. I'm in Atlanta. He's in New York, and you are now tuned into your number one sports talk show, All Things Sports, on the All Things Sports Network. Ticker up top, very accurate, and brought to you by ESPN Bet. June, good to see you. Hasn't been too long. We're in the middle of the MLB, of the opening week of MLB, and there is so much to talk about. We had a great weekend in college hoops, and I think that's where we'll start before we get to any MLB, because we spoke a lot of MLB last pod. So let's get into these college hoops, and we'll start with Saturday's games in the Elite Eight. We'll go early to late because, Duke had the main event. So, we'll be right back. The Florida Gators, Texas Tech Red Raiders. I mean, this is a game. Florida, the score, 84-79. It's a 5-point game when the clock hit 0-0-0-0. I don't think it really tells the full story. Right. It does not tell the full story. Florida dominated from beginning to end. Granted, Texas Tech did have the +1 in the 3-point contest, if you want to call it that. Yeah. But when you go 53 from the free throw line against Florida's 92.6% from the free throw line, and you let Florida out rebound you -7 if you're the Texas Red Raiders, it just wasn't really a competition for Florida. What do you like about this Florida team going into the Final Four, and what did you admire about them in this Elite Eight competition?
I think the resiliency really is what stood out most, because I said this EP, I don't always cash in on all my shit, but I felt like I couldn't see a Final Four without all four number one seeds. We talked about this when, the series started, or the tournament started, I should say, a couple weeks ago. And, I kind of didn't do a bracket because we never know who's going to be the upset. But when it came to the number one seeds, I told you I couldn't pick an upset. There didn't seem like there was a better team or a team out there that would find a way to beat the top four teams in the tournament. And I mean, that's as true as day. Obviously, I'm in New York City. We got the police. It's not New York if you don't got the sirens, right?
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, elite basketball from what we're seeing with Walter Clayton and Florida. We spoke last time. I think that last episode we spoke, Dan Hurley was kind of going through it. Took that loss a little harsh last week.
He did. He definitely did.
Since then, I mean, Florida was able to figure things out. And I started again with what was the word I use?
Resiliency.
Resilience. I'm like relentless. Yeah, and they faced adversity. It was a neck and neck game until about 4 or 5 minutes left. Texas Tech was able to find a way to get a 10-point lead. It looked like they probably were going to advance themselves to the Final Four there, but 12 points from Thomas Haw and Walter Clayton, within minutes. I mean, this game was just out of reach. And then you look around, Florida has the lead and never looked back. And yeah, I just think it takes a great deal of confidence in your team, to go out there against a great, well-rounded Texas Tech team. Texas Tech was probably one of the more well-rounded, balanced teams, versatile teams in the tournament left, with their ability to shoot the three, stretch the floor, and play, physical, high-level defense. Unfortunately, Walter Clayton for them was a nightmare. He made
Yeah.
some shots and took some shots that took a lot of guts. And so you got to give credit. Grant McClassen had them guys ready, for Texas Tech, and it could have went either way. So it's a sad story for them, but this is just a big credit to what Florida's got going on over there. Last year, Walter Clayton was at Iona balling out, and I don't know if I don't think he was there when Patina was there a couple years ago, but it's just interesting enough. He comes from Iona, goes to Florida, and finds himself in the Final Four the next year. It's going to be a tough matchup against a rival SEC opponent in Auburn, who looks the part every match. What I will say, just getting off of Florida real quick, Auburn and Duke have been the two teams that it looks like they are going to the national championship since the tournament started. When I look at Florida, I guess we'll kind of just jump into like Final Four outlook, minimize. Florida faced adversity in a couple games, and they were in a couple tough spots. Versus UConn, they had to claw their way out, and against Texas Tech, it really had to dig down and find timely buckets. Kind of luck was on their side, if you will. What we've seen from Auburn has been consistent play. What we've seen from Duke has been dominance, right? And so it just leaves me excited to see what kind of Final Four we'll have.
Yeah, that's exciting. That's exciting. I want to kick it over to the chat real quick before I reply to anything that you were talking about. Ant's in there saying he's early and Florida loses tonight. Florida doesn't play tonight. And Mark,
Right.
we got a couple weeks. We got a couple weeks. Yeah, we got a couple weeks.
Well, we got a couple days.
A couple days. Facts. And then Mark and they're saying baseball is back. Mark, we're gonna get there. Me and him and the separate group chat that I'm in, we were all on Phillies money line. It was 1-0 today going into the seventh. And then the Phillies ended up winning 6-1, which was crazy in the last couple. And we're gonna get to that, Mark. Don't worry. Just stay tuned. Stay here. Relax. We're gonna get there. Back to the Florida Texas Tech game. Yeah, at one point Texas Tech was up, and I remember someone in our chat, where's Sal at? And like you said, then Florida, took a timeout, and they're like, hey, relax. This is, we've been here, and we've been here multiple occasions, and we don't forget, we went back to back in two sports at one point. This Florida team, man, at the beginning of the season, they were counted out, like you were saying. They were battling adversity at the beginning of the season, and they essentially showed and proved throughout the entire season, like, hey, we're a top contender. Slowly moved up in the ranks to top 5. I mean, what else can you say about them? I love that you mentioned Thomas Haw. After the game, he quote unquote said, it's crazy. I feel like I'm dreaming. I was watching the round of 64 in the 8th grade, sneaking my phone in the science class, watching it. Now to say I'm playing in the Final Four is wild. It's wild. Hey, dream come true for these kids. And it's really a beautiful thing. Let's take it to the what's up?
Real quick thought. Because I watched the presser after the game, and it's always cool to see the highs and lows of college basketball, because at the end of the day, these are 18 to 22-year-olds, right? And so I guess watching them navigate through their career at a young age to become stars, or even being stars in college to, even bigger stars when they make the pros is always entertaining. But it was nice to see them kind of let it out, right? Walter Clayton's been so locked in this tournament. Hogg has a great game and kind of goes into anecdote mode. And Todd Golden, he comes to Florida a couple years ago. I think he got there in 2022. And so, he makes a Final Four appearance here. He's got a 131 and 69 overall record. That's a 655 win percentage. And yeah, I mean, it's just a big credit to him and what they've been able to do down there. Um, through the NIL and getting Florida back to this prominence. This was by the way, EP, first time that we get a Final Four with all 4 number 1 seeds since 2008. Last time we had that in '08 was Florida Gators, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. There was Kansas, Memphis, Florida, and UCLA that year.
And actually, I think I was on the couch yesterday. I was talking to my uncle. I said, damn, I think that was the year Kansas won with Bill Self. I think Mario Chalmers hit the game winner
Chalmers, yes,
over
sir.
Calipari's Memphis Tigers and Derrick Rose. Man, I remember vividly being in my room that night watching that game back and forth. Brandon Rush hit a clutch shot. Derrick Rose comes back. And then Mario Chalmers just comes off the screen and knocks it down. And that was the birth of Rio. Then the Heat draft him that summer. I mean, it was pretty cool because I'm like, I had no relation to Mario, Kansas basketball, nothing. But when I saw that the Heat drafted him, it was like, wait, this was the guy that hit the game winner, you know what I'm saying, in the tournament. So pretty cool.
Yeah, that Final Four, like you were saying, Mario Chalmers, Derrick Rose, that was Russell Westbrook, and Tyler
Michael Beasley
fuck Tyler Hansborough,
Tyler
Hansborough.
Michael Beasley was in that draft class as well.
Facts, big facts, big facts. Let's take it over to the night game, the main event Saturday night, where Duke clocks and clinches their 18th Final Four appearance with an 85-65 roll over the Roll Tide. June, I fell asleep, bro. I actually fell asleep in the second half of this game. It was a snooze fest. I texted you. I didn't think it was going to be a dub on top they had, bro. I really thought, Bama could cover the +6 at the very least, make it a game. I absolutely fell asleep in the second half of this game. What's amazing about this is that Coop only made 6 of his 16 shots. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was everybody else. It was the rest of the team. Like you like to say, Malawak, it's Kanoopal, it's the Aussie, it's everybody else but Flag. If Flag turns up and the rest of the team turns up, then I don't know.
I don't know what to see, right? Yeah, 120 points.
I don't know, man. It's a beautiful thing to see. To me, I gotta find some way to bring the Chiefs into this. This feels like the Chiefs' first Super Bowl run. Wow. When I kept saying, "Yo, I don't know," and they were like, "Nah, we're here and we're doing this."
It's just happening.
It's happening. It's happening, and there's nothing you can do about it, man. I don't even have a question for you for this game. What did you see in this game, and how did Duke manage to put 20 points on Alabama's head?
I mean, you spoke about it. It came from everywhere. And pause, by the way. But, I mean, almost all 5 of the starters were in double figures. That was minus Sion James, who had 9. And had a great night, impacting the floor, playmaking, I'm just so proud of the way that we play and share the ball. This is a young group, right? We have a young team. There's 3 freshmen that are impacting wins for this Duke team. And I mean, Knipple, Mr. Fundamental, whatever we want to call him, I want to say that he's like the glue. As much as I think Malawak is the glue, I think more so it's Knipple, because when you need a bucket, when you need, you know what I'm saying, when you need to get a tough shot, you can look to Khan and have like this sense of calm. There's this sense of low pressure. I think when, Malawak and Flag get the ball, obviously younger guys and, with flags, sometimes it's a little overexertment. Sometimes there's a little anxiety there, but I feel like Knipple just keeps everything balanced, and having a guy like Proctor right there as well doesn't hurt. But something that stood out to me
Silent
was,
assassin. Proctor's a silent
yeah,
assassin.
something that stood out to me was we only took 13 3-pointers. We
Yep.
hit 6 of them, right? Which is a great clip, but putting up 85 points, by the way, on this Alabama team, who all year has played great defense, has been a tough out, not a pushover. They've only lost 8 games coming into that game Saturday. And to kind of just embarrass them and make them look like less of themselves in a respectful way, I think you got to just, clap it up to Duke and credit their defense. Because as much as we've spoken about, or maybe even just I have spoken about their offense and being able to come into the tournament and put 85 plus up on every team, I mean, we're going out there and making their best players, look less of who they really are. And so with Mark Sears coming out 6 points, 2 of 12 shooting, 1 of 3 from 3, no rebounds, like he had no impact on this game.
Nope.
And it's really tough when you look at a Duke squad who, I mean, averaged like 6'9". So why I'm excited to see the Final Four and what Duke can bring is because of the versatility we offer and our size. Houston has a lot of smaller guards, shoot the ball really well. We'll talk more about them in a second here, but Duke is able to really, really take advantage of the size, the length, and their shooting capabilities versus these other teams. Because, yes, we are the number one team in the league or in the country, and Houston has the number one defense. We have the number one offense, but our defense is just as good. Like,
Yes, sir.
we've proved this tournament that just because we have, the number one offense who scores 80 plus in a tournament, only 3 losses on the season, we still can go ahead and lock down Alabama to score less than 70 in an Elite Eight game. And I'm excited to see what Houston can do. What I've noticed from all the teams in the tournament, it's been a struggle to get to 60, 70 points. And we've done that with, I can't say minimal effort because, obviously they're going and giving their all. But for what we produce, it looks way easier than how everybody else is making it. And so when I kind of think like, damn, Houston, I was thinking yesterday, Houston's going to have a really good shot. They've got a really good team. They shoot the ball extraordinarily well. And they get rebounds, right? Houston's going to be physical. It's going to be tough to not give up second chance points. But I mean, you look at a guy like Kamalawak, right? You look at a guy like Cooper Flagg, and these guys really want it.
Yep.
I don't think Houston's going to be the one to step in the way of that. Auburn, to me, is the team to beat outside of Duke, and it's going to be the young guys versus the OGs. I'm excited for that.
Whew. Oh man, hey, I want to swing it over to the chat real quick. And in there correcting himself, he said Saturday, and then he also mentioned that Mario Chalmers went on to hit a game winner for Braun too. That was a full circle moment. Hey, 53.6%, despite Coop going 6 for 16, 40 points in the paint. You know what I mean? Out rebounded plus 11 on Duke in Duke's favor. It it was a rout, and this was the game that I thought would challenge us. So at this point, it's like, show me my opponent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you got
that's how. Sorry, but that's how you felt. You've been a little skeptical throughout the tournament, and just to point this out, I've noticed each game we've played has been dominance. Right? It hasn't been. There hasn't been the Arizona game was stressful. Right? We still won by 7. We almost won by double digits. And it came down to like the free throws and just making sure we maintain the possessions. But we won that game pretty clearly.
Yeah.
There was never really a moment that I felt worried or like we can't figure this out. And so it was a breath of fresh air to see us take a step further than where we got to last year, where we met DJ Burns and NC State and ended things for us, because I don't think we had as much size as we needed, like a Malawach when Kyle Flapowski was kind of getting in foul trouble last year. It's just a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And we almost had a SEC Final Four if it wasn't for Duke and Houston. I'm sure the
Yeah.
SEC is feeling like homeboy from Scooby Doo, and I would have had it too if it wasn't for those Metal League kids. Let's let's take it over to Sunday, and we'll go straight into this Houston game, man. I really thought that Tennessee was gonna pull this off, bro.
Mm.
And but to only score 15 points in the first half, I mean,
You
it's
got to hit your
just
shots, bro. You
you
got to
got
hit
to hit your
threes.
shots. You can't. The lights can't be too bright at this point if you're the number
Hmm.
2 seed Tennessee.
Hmm.
You played SEC competition all season and showed why you deserve to be in the tournament. You deserve
Yeah.
to be a number 2 seed. But for you to shoot 28% from the field, 17% from beyond the arc, and even the 70 with those two stats combined, and then you see 75% from the line, you at least gotta hit your free throws, June. Is this the case where Houston won this game, June, or did Tennessee lose this?
I mean, I think Houston won this game. Tennessee obviously got to be better, hit shots. They came out in the second half with a different attitude and started hitting shots, tried to make a little run. It just wasn't enough. Houston puts a lot of pressure on your 3 pointers as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not to say Tennessee just came out and the light was too bright and they weren't ready for the opponent, XYZ. I think Houston attacked their game plan really well and executed, hit their shots on their end. And there was a run in the second half where Tennessee made a run, hit a couple threes, got a few stops, and then Sharp is I forget his name, 21 for Houston. I mean, he hit two deep threes that just, in my opinion, kind of just took the breath out. Right? It was
Mm-hmm.
like as an indifferent basketball fan watching the game, I'm sitting here like after that second three he hit, I was like, yeah, I don't know how you get back on offense and kind of just try to keep figuring this out, kind of try to keep chipping away because at this point everything's dropping for him and that is kind of demoralizing when you're down say 16, down 17 and now two or you're down 13 and two straight threes get it to, you know what I'm saying, 19. Just a whole different game. So that's kind of what we saw there. They started off too late. First half was really what threw the game for them. So I can't say that Houston or Tennessee lost this game because they didn't execute in the first half and they did in the second half and still lost. And you just got to give credit to Coach Sampson and having those guys ready and then being able to hit shots down the stretch and maintain what they did in the first half late in the second.
You mentioned the transfer portal earlier with the Florida team, and I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it just you can speak about it in this game as well with LJ Cryer coming over to Houston through the transfer portal.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I do want to say this. I think the only people that are complaining about the transfer portal are the people that can't keep their players.
Yeah. Yeah.
No one else cares. I'm here to tell you we don't
And,
care.
and I want to say, like, just we're looking at how college basketball is nowadays, the transfer portal, coaches going, faster than anybody could think, players leaving to get a more minutes or whatever the promise is on the other side of the fence. Coach John Shire is in his third year now and has made a Final Four appearance after last year's Elite Eight appearance. And
Yep.
so it looks like he's just taking off right where Coach K left off from. And this could be one of the best young coaches in the game. He is already one of the best young coaches in the game. So we might have to recognize him as the best coach in the game. If Duke can pull this off, in a matter of a week now. I think championship should probably be next Monday night.
Monday,
Um,
Tuesday. Yep.
I, I'm super excited because, I mean, we watched John Shire, right? Like, I remember John Shire in 07. I remember John Shire middle school days playing for this team. I remember when I saw him become the assistant coach to this team and, alongside guys like Nolan Smith, who were his teammates back then. And just seeing where the coaching tree has kind of gone or gotten to with Duke, it makes me proud. So shout out to them. By the way, in the chat, Mark said, I got a Houston future. Anytime somebody puts money against one of my teams, I pray to God that your ticket gets blown and that you lose all money. So, Mark, In nice words, screw your ticket. Daniel said, "What up? What up, Daniel?"
Oh man, the Houston Cougars on their way back to Texas because the Final Four is in San Antonio. Ah man, this is their
I think that's
seventh.
the only thing that got me a little nervous about this game is that it's essentially a home game for Houston, going back to San Antonio. But I think that the confidence that Duke is playing with right now,
Come on,
the
man.
3-point shooting is that unless there's like a anomaly of a barrage of misses next game, I don't see how we lose to this team. I also want to point out, I heard today that we got two coaches under 40 with Florida and Duke, and we got two coaches over 60 with Auburn, Bruce Pearl, and Houston's coach, Kelvin Sampson. So it's going to be like a battle of the old school and the new school. And we only have four freshmen that are going to be impacting games in this Final Four. Um, three of them come from Duke. So
Ooh. Hey man, and we're on to San Antonio, and if I can quote the great Patriots ex head coach. And then the last game of the Elite Eight, Michigan State, Auburn. Another game where
just got off
it
on the
just got
wrong
out of
foot,
hand.
man.
Yeah.
Auburn went crazy in that first half. Janai Broom, 17 and 11, double double, led all guys, and then comes out second half, gets hurt. It looks like he hurt his ankle and his shoulder on the same play.
It was
Goes to the
weird.
locker room. They say this is like his Willis Reed moment. He comes back out. Everybody cheers him on. He hits a three for his next shot. And Auburn to me, EP, I know you haven't really set the picture or anything, but Auburn to me, Mark said, I'm either going to look dumb as shit or like a genius. I'm going to go with dumb as shit, but you'll find out on Saturday. To me, Auburn, everybody gives them shit for having an average age of like 24 years old, 24, 25 years old. Um, and I saw a tweet this morning. It was like, they showed the age difference between the rest of the teams in the tournament versus Auburn. And they're like, this is embarrassing. And I mean, I think we've gotten lost in the plot where college basketball has taken this turn to NIL, younger kids, one and done, guys being NBA ready at 18, 19, as opposed to needing those 3-4 years in college to develop fully and then get to an NBA organization where they trust them. Now guys are kind of getting thrown into that fire at 20 years old, becoming a face to the franchise and expected to win, so that by that by that second contract, they can go for that max deal. And nowadays in the NBA, they're signing 5-year, $300 million deals. So I think it's totally fine for Auburn to have done what they've done. Bruce Pearl recruited at a rate where he felt he wanted older veteran guys. He wanted guys that knew what winning was like. Wanted guys that had experience. And this is the perfect group. This team has been number one all season until probably the last month of the season. And in this tournament, much like Duke, they've shown that they're just better than their opponent. And so I don't think we're going to see that Saturday when Florida plays them. Florida should give them their best chance at losing so far. And they might still be able to beat Florida.
Yeah.
But this game is going to look a lot different. Now, for Houston and Duke, just to get back to that real quick, I do think they're going to give us a lot of competition. It's going to be tough in the first half, maybe to start the second half as well. But there will be a point in time where we start to see a separation between Duke and Houston due to the fact of the size and length that Duke has and those guards in Houston being too small. So if Houston comes out and second half is still knocking down, like a barrage of three-pointers, you can't really beat that or defend that. But I don't see it going that way. I see, shots falling, but hey, everything has a due date. And so the size and length will become too much of an issue and too overwhelming for Houston. That's just how I see it. I could be wrong. Best defense Duke has played all year. Yeah, but I think Duke's. That's what Mark said. I think Duke's defense has gotten better since say January. I think we've played great defense all season, but the level of intensity and focus has just up since this tournament started, and that's kind of what matters now. And I could even say since the ACC tournament started when we were locked in. So amid the UNC comeback or lack thereof, that was the only time I saw like, all right, we kind of let off the gas on defense. We're not playing as dominant as we know we can. And since that close win, everything else has been a breeze.
No, absolutely, man. Duke, Houston, Florida, Auburn, San Antonio this Saturday. It's gonna be a doozy. It's gonna be a doozy. Hey man, let's go over to the pros. We'll come back to the Final Four later on in the week. At the end of the week show before the Final Four. Let's kick it over to the NBA. June, KD rolled his ankle. He's out for a week. The funny, it's not funny actually. I never wish anything like that for a player. That's crazy. But the funny part from my perspective is that it happened against Houston, and again, Mark will attest to this if he's still tapped in here. I know he is. I see the comments. Uh, it, Everybody in the group chat was saying, "Yo, take the Suns. Take the Suns. Take Houston. Houston's number 2 seed. Take Houston. Take Houston." I'm like, "Yo, I hear y'all, but the Suns are a game out of the play-in, like back against the wall. Houston's won 2 out of the 3 matchups in the regular season. Like, you know how hard it is to sweep a team, any professional team. You know how hard it is to sweep any professional team. I say, hey, I'm not betting it, but I really could see Phoenix coming out and making a statement. And the only statement that they made was that the season's over. They're in full rebuild mode. I don't even know if they know what they're currently doing. Um, ugh, it's rough to watch that Phoenix Suns team, and at this point, they got to blow it all up. What are you making of this KD injury and the end of the season for the Suns, as well as what are some narratives that you're looking forward to in these last couple games of the NBA season?
Well, the Kevin Durant injury is sad because it kind of marks, in my opinion, the end of Kevin Durant in Phoenix. Now we have to
Yeah.
see how Phoenix can. As a Heat, all right, I'll say this. As a Heat fan, I'm excited a bit because the plan is for Phoenix to remove themselves from Kevin Durant this offseason. Now, typically, doesn't sound like a hard thing to do. Seems like everybody would be jumping for Kevin Durant. They had an issue just a month ago trying to trade for him, or excuse me, trying to trade him and get a fair value deal in return. We're going to see now what Kevin Durant is probably going to be 36 going into next season, 35, 36. Can Phoenix find some sort of value for getting off an old Kevin Durant who finished the season on the injury list, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of the thing here, and that's what makes me a little excited as a Heat fan because do we have enough pool and enough justification to say, well, we're just going to send you these guys. We'd only want to send you this because I mean, the last we saw of Kevin Durant, he was playing great, but got hurt again. Don't know. And as much as I would like to believe that, I'm sure he's still going to get traded for as close to fair value as you can based on his name. But the Suns, it's just very sad because you can tell they don't have a true leader on that team. Kevin Durant goes down in injury to a Houston Rockets team who, granted, number 2 seed in the West at times this year, have been atop the West, top 4 seed the West, have played really good basketball, but they don't always beat the good teams. They beat up on the bad teams and they struggle and play their way through the good games. So they're on like the fraud watch, if you will.
Yeah.
But soon as Kevin Durant goes out, I mean, it's just like everything just falls apart last night, and it's an embarrassing loss for Phoenix. The coach and the players don't have a good relationship. Devin Booker would have his 9th head coach, I think, or 8th or 9th head coach since 2015. He'd be losing his co-star Kevin Durant, stuck with Bradley Beal. I don't know what his decision is. I'm hearing he wants to stay in Phoenix. If you're asking me, he doesn't care to win if that's the case, because the organization is not in a position to win right now. They're in a
Yeah.
position to sell, and get as many assets and draft capital as they can to try to figure this thing out once again. And so if Booker is content with that and signing a big deal and winning 40 games in the West and not coming out the first round, hey, that's on Devin Booker and who he'll be in his career. But unfortunately for the Suns, I think Devin Booker cares a little bit more about winning than that. I think he wants to have an impact deep in the playoffs, and I think he'll understand sooner than later that that's not going to come in Phoenix. I don't see them moving on from him or him wanting to move on this summer, but by next trade deadline, to me, Devin Booker's probably a name we start to hear, um, as far as who's going to get him, who's going to be trading for him. Uh, DY3 says Lakers in 5, Suns hot garbage. Thompson brother in Houston a problem. He is, but we're not talking about the Rockets right now. Suns are just disappointed. Pat Riley needs to leave first. Beal stay in Phoenix. Nobody else honoring that contract. Yeah, Beal is definitely going to stay. That's their biggest issue.
With a
Right?
smile on his face too.
I think it's harder to get Terry Rozier off than Bradley Beal, but Beal is still gonna be in Phoenix, and that's a part of their biggest issue. $50 million on a player who's going to bring you 19 points a game or so, um, and not have much impact on winning. And I think that's fair to say based on the last 3 or so years we've seen from Bradley Beal and who he's been in Washington and Phoenix alike. So Booker better leave if he don't want to be mellow.
Damn.
Hey,
Damn.
man.
June said he's gonna leave that one right there. He's gonna leave that one right there. June, what other storylines and narratives are you looking forward to these last couple of games of the season?
What are the Memphis Grizzlies going to do in the first round with an interim head coach? Is one of the storylines I'm interested in. What kind of impact is James Harden going to have in the playoffs after having a great season and everyone comparing him and saying that he's had a better career than Dwayne Wade? What will he do in the playoffs this year is the storyline I'm interested in.
Whoa.
LeBron James and Luka Doncic, can you guys get to the Western Conference Finals? I think it's a given they win their first round matchup, especially if they match up with the Grizzlies. I believe they have like a 32 to 35% chance right now to match up with Memphis in the first round if playoffs started today. There's only maybe 6 games left in the season. So if they match up against Memphis right now, I think that's a lock for them to get to that second round. So I want to see the Lakers win that second round matchup and get to the Western Conference Finals. Outside of that, last night DiVincenzo showing again, who he is, made of toughness. He's not to be played with. Isaiah Stewart showing who he is as like advertised fake tough guy. I won't go so far to say fake tough guy because I think, Isaiah Stewart has done a good job of at least imposing an identity in Detroit.
Yeah.
Right? Detroit was known as a joke for the last 10 years. Obviously, they made the playoffs the year with Blake Griffin and stuff, but never was a threat. And since honestly, Chauncey Billups, Rip Hamilton, Tayshaun Prince, Ben Wallace era, early 2000s, they haven't had an impact on winning in this league. And right now, we've seen them go from maybe 15 or 19 wins last year to what are they, a 6 seed right now in the East, about to make the playoffs, and playing in meaningful basketball late in March, early April, getting into fights. There's this toughness. There's this bad boy era, that has come back. And whether Isaiah Stewart is a phony, whether he's a fake tough guy or not, no one has actually pulled his card just yet. So I'm going to rock with nobody don't want to mess with him just yet, or he ain't messed with the wrong person. So shout out to the Pistons, man. They've made a lot of noise. And I think, it's going to be tough for them to win a first round series right now. But
for sure,
for them to get to less than 20 wins to make the playoffs, Coach Bickerstaff has got them on the right path. And, You got Ivy coming back next year, after the ACL injury. I think they have to re-sign during this offseason. They got a couple pieces to figure out who's going to be the role players and key guys, but Cade Cunningham has come into his own as a superstar in this league, and who they thought they drafted in 2020 is what is now arrived. So excited to see what the Pistons are going to do going forward. I don't think they make much noise in these playoffs.
I had to research if Isaiah Stewart was from Detroit, and I was like, "Yo, you could rep in Detroit."
He's Jamaican, by the way.
Jamaican, and when I researched where he was from, I said, "Oh, I ain't gonna lie, that's not a fake
Makes
tough
sense.
guy. My man's from Rochester, New York. Like, hey, I'm not gonna pull his card, are you? Because
Right.
I ain't gonna do it. You heard?
Hey, man.
There's a couple of NBA games that are live right now. The Grizzlies are up 1 on the Celtics right now. End of the first quarter. We're at halftime in Charlotte with the Jazz trailing the Hornets 47-54. Indiana just went to halftime with the Kings up on them on the road by 6 points. You mentioned James Harden and the Clippers. They are up by 2 going into halftime on the road in Orlando. And the Heat up 14 in Washington.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, look, we've won. Are we at 4 straight right now? We lost 10 straight, and I think we've won 4 straight. So
yeah, 4 straight. Looking to make it 5 tonight.
Don't fret.
Looking to make it 5 tonight. And Boston, looking to not lose and win their 9th straight game this evening as well. So that's interesting to see.
We got a Rockets Lakers tonight. Sorry, that's going to be a really good game tonight. Because going back to what I mentioned about the Rockets, we don't know if they're that fake tough guy, essentially, where they're beating up on all the bad teams and can't beat the good teams. I think this would be a very good benchmark at 49 wins, trying to get their 50th win on the road in Los Angeles tonight at 10 o'clock. Can they put their road win streak to work and win, or will LeBron and Luka suit up and be too much tonight? I'm going to go with the latter because I don't believe in Houston, and I don't think that they're a real threat to that Larry O'Brien trophy. So we'll see.
Hey, man, I didn't believe in them, last night either. And again, they played the Suns, but still, I ain't believe in them. And I don't know, they're going to show and prove. I don't think they're going to win a playoff series, but they look good right now. That's what I'll say. June, we're in the middle of MLB opening week, and I want to start the MLB segment with an apology to our listeners. Anyone that grabbed the parlay that I gave you on opening day, the first 2 legs were cake. It was easy. We were looking good. And even the last leg with the Pirates versus the Marlins and the Pirates money line, we was looking good. And then somewhere in like the 7th inning, the Pirates started to give up runs.
Yeah.
And at the bottom of the 9th, opening day at Lone Depot Park, Marlins walk it off with a hit in the short.
At the bottom of the 9th opening day, at the bottom of the 9th, the 2nd day, and on the bottom of the 9th on the 3rd day, the Pirates were walked off. So I'll just say this. Don't feel too bad because I don't think anybody would have predicted this historic bad start for the Pirates, or unlucky start, if you will, having 3 straight walk-offs. And then we talk about the Marlins, by the way.
The Marlins, bro.
If you tell me you got walked off 3 straight games versus like the Astros or maybe even the Guardians, the Marlins, I mean,
the Marlins, bro. It's they're really the baseball OPM. I know I mentioned to you pre-game show that I saw Dom Kennedy last week. The Marlins are getting rich off of other people's money, and it is fucking crazy. And they don't spend it either, which is also another wild thing. But yeah, apologies to the listeners. Funny enough, Pete Alonso is wreaking havoc in Miami right now. The Mets are up 6-1 in the top of the 5th, and Pete Alonso hit a home run. He got 4 RBIs in the game already.
Damn.
Why couldn't y'all play in Miami opening week or opening day? That's all I'm asking at this point. What have you been enjoying so far about this baseball season in the last 5-6 days that we've been live?
You started this episode with swinging and missing. I'll tell you who swung and didn't miss. And this might sound odd, but I was able to enjoy the new torpedo bat. It has everybody in a chokehold. And listen, it's gonna be fuck the Yankees until the day I die, right? I, I'm I'm about a mile and a half away from Yankee Stadium right now, and I still stand on what I said. But baseball is about home runs. Baseball is about action, scoring, right? And what we saw Saturday, oh man, I'ma always cheer for an ex-player who went to a new spot, coming back and coming to get this welcome. And the way that Nestor Cortez was welcomed versus those Yankees on Saturday.
Welcome back. Welcome
Hey, look,
back.
if you there has to be somebody who had a beef with Nestor Cortez in high school. Maybe he took one of their girlfriends. That dude was sitting on the couch on Saturday having a ball. Like I like watching Nestor Cortez get taken yard 4 times in the first inning versus his former team while they're implementing this new bat. I mean,
Legal bat, by the
for now,
way.
yeah, I think that was pretty fucking cool to see this weekend. So shout out to the Yankees. I'll give them their opening day flowers because had you asked me what I'm confused about, what I'm sad about, what I'm hurt about, oh, I would have told you the Boston Red Sox. I mean, we've started the series, we started the season with the win, right? So shout out to the Red Sox, got their opening day win. Garrett Crochet, you know what I'm saying, on the mound, had a great time. And the rookie Christian Campbell makes his debut at second. He's been playing really well, but historically bad start. Rafael Devers. I wouldn't be able to tell you right now, but we finished this game today versus the Orioles. I think he's now at 0 for 18 or 0 for 19 on the season with about 14 to 15 strikeouts. And EPI, I don't think this is anything more than just mental, bro. Like there was a lot of drama coming into this year with Alex Bregman being signed and who's going to play third, who's going to DH. I'm not a DH. I'm a third baseman. All right, I'll DH. We're going to do what's best for the team. And listen, we can't criticize his defensive play. I mean, he's not even out there to get the opportunity, but the only thing we're asking him to do is hit the ball, and he can't even make contact with the ball. He's striking out. Nobody has had this bad of a start historically. Through 3 games, 10 strikeouts was the most in MLB history. He's now through 5 games, sitting at 1-4, and has struck out well over 10 times. So I don't know what it is now that we're gonna see from Devers coming up. I would assume that he just has to go back to the drawing board and take some notes and just humble himself. Whatever he thinks that maybe he doesn't need to change or he might be too comfortable with, listen, lay it all out on the table and say, I want to be the best baseball player I can be for the Red Sox this season. I can't live in the past on what I did. He's a professional hitter, great hitter. I still expect him to have a great year, but he's got to put his pride aside now and really figure out what he can do to change his swing, change his approach, and start driving the ball, because this is a concerning start to the season.
Yeah, man. The thing that I'm not liking right now is that Patrick Corbin is in the minors. Why? Why did Texas go?
Money?
Yeah, why did Texas go get him if they ain't gonna let me make no? It's like Kevin Garnett in Uncut Gems. Why the fuck you gonna show me some shit I can't buy?
Some shit I can't hear.
You know what I mean? Baseball's back, like Mark was saying in the comments earlier. I'm enjoying it. I'm not gonna speak too much on these torpedo bats because I honestly, one, haven't done the research about it, and two, as I was telling one of the homies up here in Atlanta, a Braves fan, I was like, yo, y'all start slow all the time. Last season y'all started 0-3, you know what I mean? And the Yankees start hot all the time, and you know, by fucking August, September,
right.
We're looking like we don't want to play baseball no more. It's early. That's still a solid 100, 159 games, 100 and that math is wrong. It's 157, but it's still 157 games left in the season. It's a long season, as everybody knows. But I've definitely been enjoying it. Of course, like I mentioned earlier, shout out to Mark and the Roll with the Winners group chat that I'm in. Philly's money line today, bro. This was down. Mark, hey, it was 0-0 until like the sixth inning, and Colorado went up one, and Mark hits the group chat like, "Yo, Phillies fucking suck," and I'm like, "Bro." And then the seventh comes around, these motherfuckers ring off back to back home run. It's baseball's back. Baseball's so back, and it's one of the best feelings to watch. Not only sports and poetry in motion, but arguably one of, if not the most unpredictable sport known to man at this point in baseball. So that's what I got on. As we're halfway through MLB opening week. June, you got anything else you want to go over before we get up out of here? You're on mute, buddy.
My bad. I
No,
think by the time we get back, we should see each other on Thursday. That'll give us Final Four preview, right? We'll get into what's happened in the week of baseball leading into weekend. NBA is kind of coming to that end, right? So hopefully we can start wrapping things up and start to focus on round one playoff matchups. And then I think the next thing that we could start prepping for is the NFL draft. So we got about 3 weeks till that comes. Until then, nah, man, we'll take it day by day. We'll keep analyzing NBA seeding, and yeah, I guess Canelo has something to say. If you want to let him get his shit off.
You heard. I think Mama's just walked in, so he's like, "Yo, what's up?"
I guess we're right on time.
I don't. Do I have anything else I want to go over? I had a
shout out to Sean Abayev, man. I'm gonna be at the McDonald's All-American High School game tomorrow at Brooklyn Barclays Center. I'll be there with Coach AJ. Shout out to Coach AJ. You know what I'm saying? We'll be in attendance. This is a high school senior, soon to be college freshman at the University of Cincinnati. We hey man, I'm gonna see Caden Cameron Boozer, right? I'll see Sean Abayev, the future Duke stars and the stars of tomorrow. I'm excited to see that game tomorrow. So yeah, that's all I got.
Tight shit. I had a shout out, but I don't remember it, so I'm gonna have to save it for the next episode. As Canelo is yelling in the background. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, as we cross over this 53-minute mark, this has been your All Things Sports Monday night MLB opening week. NCAA Elite 8 review with a little bit of a preview for the Final Four. If you tapped in the live, thank you so much. If you are tapping in after the fact, we appreciate you taking time out of your day. As always, follow at ATS Pod on Twitter, ATS Pod Original on Instagram.